Dr. John Brazier from Corv. Today we're going to talk about digestion, and there's numerous things that influence our digestion. I know the nutritionalists are very, very strong in that you get the right nutrition going into your body, but what's more important is how the body absorbs that nutrition, whether it can absorb that nutrition or whether the organs allow things to pass through the body a little bit too quickly or too slow, whether bacteria is wrong, whether the movement's not correct, whether it's too dry, whether it's too wet, and all these different sorts of things. So first we'll talk about the stomach and spleen. So we know in Western medicine that the stomach is the initiator of the breakdown along with the saliva in the mouth, but in traditional Chinese medicine, the manager, the organ that transports the food, has an involvement in the transportation of the nutrient and transformation, which means the body's ability to absorb the nutrient that's going into the system. So and that's the spleen. So the spleen in Western medicine is all to do with the lymphatic system, but in Eastern medicine they believe it has a very, very powerful connection with the digestion and your ability to produce blood and your ability to produce energy. So if we don't have enough blood, then we tend to have poor eyesight, we might have poor hearing, we might have poor hair growth, we might have cold hands, cold feet, Raynaud's disease. We could have, it could be, the body could be quite cold. If we don't have enough energy, then people talking about fatigue. They also talk about psychological issues and stuff like that. So your digestion and the power of your digestion absolutely feeds all of the cells throughout the body to make everything work. So it's very important that those two particular organs are working strongly. If the spleen's a little bit weak, what we tend to see is we will bruise easy. So you'll find bruises on your legs, you'll find bruises on your arms, you will probably be fatigued. There's a good chance there's bloating, and you have quite a sensitivity to different foods and intolerant to different foods. The second two organs that are involved, especially the liver, is the liver and the gallbladder. So they produce bile that helps to break down the fat, so that your food and the fats can be absorbed better. In traditional Chinese medicine, we've mentioned before that if the liver is at fault, then we can get a lot of psychological problems like anger and irritation and frustration and bitterness and all those tight, tense things. And if the liver's producing that type of feeling, then often constipation is another part of that, another symptom of that, which then feeds back into the stomach and the spleen potency. So you get this conflict between the stomach and the spleen trying to work things, and the liver's really tight and tense. And psychologically, the spleen is a lot to do with worrying. So you get this anger, worry kind of conflict in the body. Typically, if there's a liver and gallbladder imbalance in your digestive system, then you could well wake up or not struggle to fall asleep, or you wake up around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock with your mind ticking and everything thinking, and you're analysing stuff. And we believe that's very much a liver gallbladder. So we would do some techniques where we would loosen all the fascia around the abdominal area to help things move and help things relax down. Also, we would look at the spine, because we know the spine and the position of the spine and the blockages in the spine that we've mentioned before can have a big influence on this whole flowing thing. Talking of the spine, if the spine's twisted and it actually twists the diaphragm, when you're doing your breathing, what we tend to do is if the diaphragm's twisted, it can't drop down and create a vacuum and draw the oxygen in. And when it's doing that, it's not just about your lungs, it's actually pushing and helping peristaltic movement in the digestive system. So it's pushing and massaging all the organs like the liver and gallbladder, stomach and spleen. They're all getting squashed and then lifted, squashed and lifted. And it also stimulates the kidney system while we're there. So if the pelvis is tilted too far forward, then you get this tightening effect in the body, in the digestive organs. And if the pelvis is too far back, you get this bloating beer belly type scenario where you can hold on to lots of water because the kidney system's compressed. We've talked about all of this before in terms of structure, shape and function. So when we're looking at the digestive system and how the digestive system affects your psychology and how it affects your sleep and how it affects your energy and whether you're food intolerant and stuff like that, it's very important that we look at all the different cross structures and fascia that's involved. We also do a particular deep organ massage in this area because often you can feel when people have had a trauma, an emotional impact or even a physical trauma, then we can get muscles and tissue that becomes locked, and that affects the flow of everything, and then eventually it's going to affect our well-being on a variety of levels, even up to high blood pressure and stuff like that, which is quite easy to drop once we clear the tension in the fascia. The last thing is we've already talked about this ileocecal valve that's on the right hand side that will typically lead to Crohn's and colitis and irritable bowel syndrome and constipation and diarrhea and fluctuation, bloating, and food intolerance is a great one. There are lots and lots and lots of people suffering from different food intolerances. Well, once we clear this area, this digestive tract, and relax it and everything moves down, the bacterial levels in different parts of your digestive system will change. And often the food intolerances just disappear. There's no need for the body's capable of coping with those type of things. So when it comes to digestion, we have to look again at the structure first, then we have to look at the organs, then we have to look at the flows, then we have to make sure the lymph's clearing, then we have to look at the meridians, and we know and we can prove that certain acupuncture points will immediately enhance certain organ functions, and those organ functions then lead to better digestion, which means you get more, better, higher quality blood, and you get more, better, higher quality energy to move the blood around the body.